Hello students, today we are doing Ismat Chughtai short story Roots. Ismat Chughtai was born in 1915 and she lived on till 1991. She was an Indian Urdu language novelist, short story writer and filmmaker. With a style characterized by literary realism, she established herself as a significant voice in Urdu literature of the 20th century. Ismat Chughtai was born in 1915 at Badaयूं, Uttar Pradesh. Her father was a civil servant and she spent her childhood in cities like Jodhpur, Agra and Aligarh. She was educated at Aligarh. Despite strong resistance from her family, she completed her B.Ed from Aligarh Muslim University in 1940. She was married to Shahid Latif, who was a dialogue writer in Bollywood. Later, he introduced Chughtai to Hindi film industry. She began writing scripts and then wrote the dialogue and screenplays. Later, she expanded her career to film direction. Ismat Chughtai is largely seen as a feminist writer, since much of her writing stemmed from her own experiences and observations as a middle-class woman. Her work reflects the progressive sensibility and are based on three major concerns of progressive literature. The first one is women, second is class struggle, and third is पार्टीशन. ये तीन चीज़ों पर लिखती थी, अबाउट विमेन और क्लास स्ट्रगल जो वर्ग संघर्ष है, एंड पार्टीशन. हर वर्क्स डिपिक्ट्स द स्टार्क सोशल रियलिटीज़ एंड मॉक द हॉलो सोशल कस्टम्स that lacked substantial meaning. She has exposed and explored the roots of social limitations, religious superstitions, and communal constraints, and showcased the wounds they left on the lives of common men in her works. इसने किस चीज़ को एक्सप्लोर किया है? सोशल लिमिटेशंस को, अपने सामाजिक जो बंधन हैं, लिमिटेशंस हैं, और धार्मिक जो सुपरस्टिशंस है, अंधविश्वास है, उनके ऊपर, और जो कम्युनल कंस्ट्रेंट्स हैं, जो अपने सांप्रदायिकता है, उसके ऊपर से she has discussed and she has showcased the wounds they left on the lives of common men. कि जो घाव ये सब चीज़ें नॉर्मल इंसान की ज़िंदगी में जो छोड़ती हैं, उनके बारे में she is discussing. She lived life on her own terms and strongly rejected the orthodox ideology of society. She believes that literature should be concerned with the questions of humanity. तो ये क्या है? अब ये अपनी शर्तों पे उन्होंने अपनी ज़िंदगी जी है. She was a very bold woman and especially for her own times, she was considered to be very bold, and the subject matter which she took for her story writing, that was also very bold in nature. And she also believed that literature should be concerned with the questions of humanity and its relationship to the society. She was very progressive and outspoken in her views, and she wrote about women's problems relating to marriage and other issues. She also addressed the social movement and issues related to partition of India. उन्होंने काफ़ी सारी जो ज्वलन समस्याएं हैं उनके बारे में लिखा है. She was very progressive and outspoken. Outspoken का मतलब बड़ी स्पष्टवादी थी वो in her views, and she wrote about women's problems. to be महिलाओं से संबंधित जो प्रॉब्लम्स थी उनके बारे में लिखती थी. And she also addressed social movements and issues related to partition of India. in 1947. 1947 में जो पार्टीशन की बात थी, इंडियन पार्टीशन, जो अपना विभाजन हुआ था इंडिया और पाकिस्तान के बीच में, और जिस समय जो सोशल प्रॉब्लम्स दे हैड टू फेस, कम्युनल, सोशल, रिलीजियस प्रॉब्लम्स जो भी फेस करनी होती थी, शी हैज़ रिटन अबाउट दैट ऑल्सो. And the story which is prescribed for us, the roots, it is based on the partition of India in 1947. And now let's study about the story. What is this story about? The roots. This story is set during the days of partition of India in Mewar, in Western India. Chughtai story roots raises issues about nationality, belonging and communal feeling. यानी इसकी स्टोरीज में क्या क्या इश्यूज़ हैं अबाउट नेशनैलिटी, राष्ट्रीयतावाद, बिलोंगिंग यानी कहाँ को आप बिलोंग करते हैं, आप कहाँ के हैं, एंड कम्यूनल फीलिंग जो सांप्रदायिक जो भावना है उनके बारे में दिस स्टोरी, द थीम ऑफ द स्टोरी इज़ अबाउट दैट. At the base of this story, there are two families, one is Hindu and one is Muslim family, with two families occupying center stage, one Hindu and the other Muslim. Chughtai moves backward in time, telling the reader anecdotes and incidents about the close relationship which bound these three generations of the two families together. Now, this story actually it begins at the time of independence, and then it moves backward, that is flashback में जाते हैं और ये move forward भी करती है. ये दोनों तरह से है. तो it goes in the flashback and it narrates the anecdotes और incidents जो छोटी छोटी घटनाएं हैं उनके बारे में बताती है. The struggle for freedom. It says about the close intimacy between these two families which has bound them together, and the struggle for freedom does not separate them in spite of supporting belonging to different parties. They remain friends and continue to care about each other and support each other through all that befalls them. So these two families, they supported each other in all thick and thin of life. However, with independence, the consequent movement on both sides of the border and all the atrocities committed, both real and reported, their age-old affection is overlaid with suspicion and mistrust. Till now, nothing had happened, nothing could breach their friendship and the relations. But after the independence, when there was a flux and movement of people from Pakistan to India and from India to Pakistan, and the atrocities which were committed on these people, this had changed their attitude and it has developed suspicion and mistrust. यानी सस्पिशन होने लग गया था कि आप किसी पे भरोसा नहीं करते हैं, आपको शक होने लग जाता है, एंड मिसट्रस्ट मतलब फेथ नहीं रहा था. एंड स्मॉल इंसिडेंट्स आर मैग्नीफाइड एंड फियर गवर्न्स देयर एक्शंस सो दैट इवेंचुअली द मुस्लिम फैमिली डिसाइड्स टू मूव टू पाकिस्तान. कि धीरे धीरे करके व्हाट हैपन्स, द होल एनवायरनमेंट चेंजेस एंड द मुस्लिम फैमिली फील्स दैट इट विल बी सेफर फॉर देम टू माइग्रेट टू पाकिस्तान इंस्टेड ऑफ लिविंग इन इंडिया. द मदर हु स्टेज बिहाइंड इज bereft एंड लोनली. लेकिन अम्मा, इसमें द मेन स्टोरी इज़ अबाउट अम्मा. अम्मा इज़ द ओल्ड मदर एंड शी डज नॉट वांट टू मूव अवे फ्रॉम हर ओन हाउस. सो द मदर हु स्टेज बिहाइंड इज़ bereft एंड लोनली. शी इज़ ऑल अलोन एंड शी इज़ कंसोल्ड बाय द चाची फ्रॉम द हिंदू हाउस होल्ड, बट nonetheless full of nightmarish fears until her family returns and is brought back from the station by old Dr. Saab. Because Amma's family had left for Pakistan, but Roopchand ji, or the head of the Hindu family, he actually goes and brings Amma's family back. Particularly interesting is the way in which Ismat Chughtai keeps a balanced viewpoint through the story, never giving to partisan politics or communal agenda. This is very important in this, that when we read the story, we do not feel that she is taking sides with either Hindus or Muslims. She is just stating the facts. वो सिर्फ तथ्य का बयान करती हैं, and she gives a very balanced view, and it is very very difficult, especially in these communal writings, to keep a balanced view. She also makes some pointed remarks on the ease with which it is possible for some people to uproot themselves and move away from all that has been familiar to them. And through the medium of the story, the author raises the question as to what it is that causes any individual to feel connected to a person and a people. Now, here, the most important thing is that she makes the pointed view that some people find it very easy to leave the place and go to another place, to a new place, and settle there. But some people, they are so rooted in their space, in their place, that they do want to move. There's a contrast between Amma and her younger family members. Like Amma is old fashioned and she wants to be rooted in her own family, the place where she was born and brought up, and she gave birth to her children and where the children were raised. So she is steadfast and she does not want to move. It is like roots, that she is rooted in that place. But her younger family members, that is grandchildren, they find it very easy to move from one place to another. And also through this medium of the story, the author raises the question as to what it is that causes any individual to feel connected to people and a people, to a person and people. कि ऐसी क्या चीज़ है जो इंसान को उस चीज़ के लिए बिलोंग करने के लिए, लाइक वी बिलोंग टू वन पर्टिकुलर प्लेस. व्हाट इज़ इट दैट मेक्स अस बिलोंग टू दैट पर्टिकुलर प्लेस? क्या चीज़ है? वेदर इट इज़ अ कॉमन रिलीजन, द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट रिक्वायरमेंट, और वेदर देर आर अदर आइडियाज़ एंड एटीट्यूड्स विच बाइंड इंडिविजुअल्स एंड फैमिलीज टुगेदर. अब वो देखते हैं कि what is a common thing where you can feel that we belong to that particular thing. Is it the religious thing? Is it religion? अगर religion होता तो all the Muslims would have migrated to Pakistan and all the Hindus would have migrated to India. पर ऐसा नहीं है. तो she just wants to explore that what it is that binds the people together to a place, to a community, or to any of the things where the person feels comfortable to stay. So today we have taken the introduction of the writer Ismat Chughtai and also the summary and introduction of the story. So in the next session we'll be doing the story in detail. So till then you study this introduction and then we'll do the stories. Thank you.